Yo, what's happening? Welcome to Art versus Arteria. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Today, we're going to get into a topic that's not just important, but it can be transformative. And that topic is keeping commitments that you make with yourself, right? So whether it's sticking with a fitness goal, waking up early, or just making time for like self-care, breaking promises to yourself can have a bigger impact on your life than you realize. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why it matters and how it can change your life once you do start to keep the commitments to yourself. So how often do you follow through on the promises that you make with yourself? Now, if your answer is not that often, then you're not alone, And that's the reason why I'm making this video, is because I often have trouble with following through and with the commitments that I've made to myself, right? So let's take a step back. Like around November of every year, it's my birthday month, right? I start to reflect on the past year, right? I don't really make New Year's resolutions. I always have like goals for the year that I make around my birthday, right? And around that time, I started to look back. And what I've seen, it's been a pattern for the last few years, is that I haven't really followed through enough with some of the commitments that I've made, some of the goals that I've had, right? So that's the reason why I'm making this video. So if that's you're not alone, man. I'm making it as a swift kick in the ass to myself, right? But I also know that other people may have like issues with keeping commitments to themselves, So the thing is, every time we break a promise to ourselves, we chip away at something that's really important, and that something is self-trust, right? Self-trust is the foundation of confidence and self-discipline and personal growth. So when we consistently bail on our commitments, it sends a message, to our brain that really says, I can't count on myself, right? And if you can't count on yourself to do what you say you're going to do, how can somebody else possibly count on you, right? It makes no sense. Others won't be able to count on you if you can't even count on yourself to do what you say you're going to do. So let's break it down. When you break a commitment to someone else, what happens? It starts to put a strain on the relationship, right? When you start doing things like showing up late or canceling plans or showing up late for meetings and things like that, it strains the relationship with others. And that's natural, and I've done it. I'm not happy to say that. I've done those type of things. I haven't done what I said I was going to do some of the times, and, not to like dwell on it, but I got to learn from that and be better, because that's all we have is our word. You don't want to start damaging your reputation by doing things like that. But the same thing happens with yourself also. When you start to like bail out on those commitments to yourself, you start to break trust with yourself, right? It damages your relationship with yourself, messes with your confidence level, and it can cause procrastination, it can cause anxiety, low self-esteem even, man, because it tells yourself, your brain is like, yo, why even bother, when I know I'm just going to fail, when I know I'm not going to follow through. And that starts to create a downward spiral, and that's a trap that you don't want to get caught into. So let's talk about flipping the script. What happens when you do start to keep the commitments that you made to yourself, right? The promises that you made to yourself. What happens when you start to follow through? Every small promise that you make, that you keep, it starts to strengthen your self-trust. You start to build that self-trust. You start to build that self-discipline, right? And it starts to create a domino effect of confidence. It creates a domino effect and builds that discipline with yourself. Keeping commitments, no matter how small, it tells your mind that I am reliable. I can count on myself to do what I say I'm going to do. And it just builds that momentum. And after a while, you start to get that confidence to start tackling bigger challenges, to keep going, to make bigger goals and tackle those bigger goals, because you know that you can follow through, right? So here's some tips if you're having trouble with keeping commitments to yourself. Like, here's some tips that I'm going to follow. Like I said, I've had this trouble in the past, and I want to correct that now. And that's the reason why I'm making this video. So, one, start small. Like, don't overpromise. you know, like focus on one or two things that you can do and then do those things. Like for instance, when I started this YouTube channel, my initial goal was to drop 3 videos a week. That was a big overpromise. I didn't realize that at the time, right? Because I do have a full-time job, and at the time during the year, my schedule was fluctuating. They would put us on mandatory overtime, and some days I was working 10, 12 hours, coming home 3 in the morning, and I was just too tired and didn't have enough energy to get out 3 videos a week. So I overpromised. What I should have did was set the goal for 1 video a week, or I should have just recorded a bunch of videos and had a surplus and released them on a schedule. And so I learned from that. So now I scaled back a little bit, and I say, I'm gonna create that surplus, right? And so don't overpromise. That's one. Don't overpromise. Start small and then scale up, right? 2, write it down. Make sure you write it down. Don't put it in your phone. Don't type it. Write the shit down so you can see it. When you write something down, it becomes real. It becomes tangible, and it's harder to ignore. Write it down. Put it somewhere where you can read it and see it daily, multiple times a day, where you pass it, and just in case you get off track, you're able to course correct and get right back on track because you can see what you need to be doing and you can see where you're lacking at, right? That's 2. 3, I would say treat your promise to yourself like it's a promise to someone else. Like treat it like it's a promise to somebody you love or a close friend, because you wouldn't want to break the promises to them, right? So why break the promise to yourself? Treat it like that. Or treat it like, like it's your boss. Like you got a job, you tell your boss you're going to do something, and you want to do it, right? So if you're treating it like that, why not? You're your own boss. So don't slack on yourself. Make sure you following through with yourself. So treat it like it's a promise to someone else. That's 3. 4 is celebrate the win. Celebrate your progress, right? Give yourself some incentive. Every time you follow through, celebrate a little bit. It doesn't have to be grandiose, big. It doesn't have to be nothing extreme, but reward yourself. Like I said, I got, for the remainder of the year, for this channel, I got a certain amount of videos I want to get out. And if I do that, once I do that, not if, but I told myself I'm gonna buy a bottle of Japanese whiskey, a high-end bottle. I think the bottle costs about $80, $90, right? So once I reach my goal, I'm gonna go buy that bottle of whiskey, and before I start my detox, alcohol detox in January of the year, I'm gonna toast on New Year's Eve with that bottle of Japanese whiskey because I'm gonna accomplish my goal. That's my incentive, right? And then I also have, like, for the beginning of the year, January, March, April. Well, no, January, February, March, the first 3 months, I got a productivity goal. Once I accomplished that goal, I told myself there's these Sonos over-the-head headphones that I want to buy. They're about $400, I think. And once I accomplish that goal, that's what I'm gonna get myself. So that's some incentive that I gave myself to reach these goals and keep my commitments and keep my promises with myself. And it can be anything that you like. Like if you told yourself you're gonna go to the gym and work out 5 days out of the week, and you accomplish that goal after the 5th day of going to the gym, go out and have that cheat meal. Go out and have your favorite cheat meal, man. It's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself, And that's some incentive that you can have, like, for following through. There's nothing wrong with that. So 5, last but not least, is don't be too hard on yourself. Forgive yourself. If you do fall short or slip up, forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up, because we're human. We make mistakes, right? It's going to happen, man. The key is consistency, not perfection, right? You want to be consistent. You do want to strive for perfection, but we'll always fall short of perfection. So always strive for consistency. So you're going to slip up at some point. Something's going to happen that might be outside of your control where you can't get to your goal on that day. Just double back. Get back up. If you fall, get back up. It's like teaching a child to ride a bike. teaching your kid how to ride a bike and they fall off, start crying and want to quit, you don't let them quit. Even if you say, okay, that's enough for the day, you come right back the next day and you have them get back on the bike, because that's how they learn. And they got to learn that failure is a part of the process of learning, right? And it's the same with us adults. You fall off the horse, get right back on it, man, and keep going. The key is to double back, you know. If you missed that 5 days in the gym, you only went for 3 or 4 days this week, make sure next week you go in and go harder. And that's how you build up that momentum. That's how you build up that muscle to get better, right? So the bottom line is this. Keeping commitments with yourself isn't just about achieving goals, right? It's about building that relationship with the most important person in your life, which is you. You are the most important person in your life, right? And so nobody is coming to save you. Nobody's going to push you like you need to push yourself. You know, that self-discipline is the most important part of it. And so start small and stay consistent, and you watch how you grow. Watch how your life starts to grow. And soon, if you keep doing that, building that momentum and building that self-trust, after a while, you're going to become unrecognizable. You're going to be a different person, and for the better also, because you're able to follow through and be self-reliable and do the things that you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do them, right? And so, with that said, if this video has resonated with you, you know what to do. Thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Share it with somebody who might need a little bit of motivation, man. Who might need a swift kick in the ass like I do, and share it with them. And also, you know, I share with my goals with you. You know, share the one promise that you're going to make this week with me in the comments. What are you going to do this week to keep the promise that you made with yourself, right? Or what one promise are you going to stick to this week, I should say. You know, what is it? Let me know in the comments, man. And it's always, this is art versus arteria, and it's you versus you. So do what you have to do to better your life, and to better yourself, and always be striving to get better. And until next time, peace and love, man. I see y'all on the other side. We out.